So this morning, I am reading a story about the Cheesecake Factory. And this is a business that was top of the headlines when this great lockdown first started. That was on the chopping block. That was like, we're going to have to close. And everyone was like, wow, there's nothing they can do. And they're totally screwed. And now I'm reading about how they've actually done some creative thinking and they've worked on their business and they've turned it around. And now it's like they might actually come back super strong. They might even be able to reopen here in the next little bit. So there are good things happening right now, even though the news is dreadful, like the worst it's been in 100 years. But you have to look for the good news, and we'll talk about why, and we'll talk about how you can find it. So thank you for joining. Hello, I am Owen. I appreciate you being here as always. If you're looking on YouTube, please subscribe to this video, hit the button below, and join our group on Facebook. Join your fellow abundance hackers here on Facebook. Abundance hackers, folks who will find the creative solutions when things get tough, kind of like they have right now, so that we can look after ourselves and serve our communities and the people we want to. So join the Abundance Hackers. A lot of exciting stuff going on. I will put a link here in the chat for you right now. Okay, so good news. When I think about this, I actually think about my road rage issues that I had, especially when I started learning how to drive. And I remember how, like, frankly, even to this day, I am fortunate. I've built my life around not having to drive a lot, which is great because I'm not a huge fan of it. And here I live in LA, we have to drive everywhere, and traffic is a nightmare. So it's not great for the road rage. But I remember even the slightest slowdown would just boil my blood. If somebody just slightly was going too slow, or traffic slowed down just a little bit, or someone just moved a little way they shouldn't have into my lane or something like that, like, it would just set me off. It would completely set me off. And where this got like really stressful was when I was in college and here in LA and my family lived in the Bay Area. I would drive up the 5 back and forth to San Francisco, and that road, I don't know if you've ever driven it, but like it can get a little packed. So all of these things would just bug me. But even when I'm driving on the 5, I could be sailing along that road for hours and hours and hours, and I don't notice that I'm just cruising along and having all this time. But I do notice, and I do remember every single time, even the slightest little slowdown happens right in front of me and somebody just gets in my way a bit. To the point that that's kind of all I end up remembering about the entire experience. The drive is about 4.5, 5 hours. 5 hours. It's 5 hours, but it can be 4.5 if you really want it to be. But all I would remember of that are the little slowdowns. So this is the same thing with good news and bad news. Do you notice the things in your life that are going well? I usually don't, and I didn't for many, many years until basically, a meditation practice helped me to figure this piece out. But generally, I don't look around and be like, hey, let me check in on all the things that are just awesome and don't need my attention and are just great on their own, right? I don't do that very often, but most people don't. Most of the time, what we focus our attention on is, oh my God, what's the emergency? What's on fire? What is not right? What needs my attention right now? What needs to be fixed? Or what do I need to look out for? Or what in my life needs some kind of adjusting? That's the kind of stuff I also often get really stuck on, right? We talk about like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? The whole psychology behind you have to cause a fuss if you want to get what you need in some of these situations, is that just goes to show us, like, that's how we pay attention. That's how we normally pay attention. It's how we're hardwired. And, when you're not paying attention, that's all that's being triggered. And we do have to work around our hardwires here and there. So training ourselves to find the good news. How do we do that? So first of all, set your intention. You need to set an intention at first. And the intention is even very simply that I am looking for good news right now. I am looking for the positive things that are happening in life right now, right around me. I want good news. You have to ask for it. Because if you don't set this intention, this is exactly like what I was just saying. If you don't set the intention that you're looking for good news or that you're looking for any kind of news in general, the media in particular, especially these 24-hour news networks, and I'm certain that you have seen at least 30 seconds of one in the last 7 days, probably, given what is going on, they're going to tell you. They are going to set your intention for you if you don't set it yourself. Because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to hook you when you're not paying attention and really play up your emotions and make you mad and tell you all the bad news, which sets off all this hardwiring in your brain, and then you end up in this bad news cycle. So if you're not paying attention, if you don't set your intention to look for the good news, then you're going to get wrapped up in all the bad stuff. So number one is set your intention. I want good news. I am looking for the good news. I'm not shutting everything out. I am not putting my head in the sand, but for this moment, I would like to receive some good news. So, on the note about the media and how they'll tell you what to think, curate your media. Understand that you have a choice about which outlets to listen to. CNN is not the last word on everything that happens, nor is MSNBC, Fox News, Bloomberg, the New York Times, any last one of them. None of them are the final word on anything that has happened. They'll try. Many of them try, and some of them harder than others to get to that. But decide what it is. Decide who you trust. Decide the news that you need, that you want, that is going to make your experience better. Again, we're not talking about shutting out and sticking our heads in the sand. But CNN isn't valuable for everything. It's not. So you can pick your outlets. You can pick what it is that you want to do. You can pick who you want to listen to. And last but not least, where it's really easy to get stuck into bad news and to really have a hard time seeing the good and the positive, at least for me, is when I don't have a plan, like when I don't know where I'm headed. And I find that almost that's what is really making me more angsty and more prone to, and even looking for bad news to sort of justify my circumstance of being angsty, of being a little lost and confused. So know where you're headed, right? Have a plan, have a goal for where you want to be, in a month, this time next week. I know we can't plan that far ahead given what's going on, but there are things that we can plan. There are things that you do know, and there are things that you do have control over. So, figure out who it is you want to be and what you want to do in a month, and then match the news that you take in to support you in accomplishing that. And then it's going to be so much easier to know what news to listen to and what news is just total garbage and useless to you in your current experience. So, making a plan for the future, I know it's hard, and I know that it's not something that we can really do right now, but one thing that you can do if you want to, and it'll be the same as getting you connected and on a direction if that's what you need, is to get in touch with your passion. And the best way to do that is just take an hour out of every day, carve an hour into every day you got, and dedicate it, make it your space to working on your passion, moving it forward, engaging with it, whatever it is. Games, cars, books, painting, underwater basket weaving, whatever it is. Take an hour and do it for just an hour every day. And if you don't know what your passion is, then dedicate that hour to researching it, to discovering what it is, to playing around and figuring out what really gets you excited. And if you want some real help on this, and all of this will help you keep your good news flowing in, is go to owenjward.com and just tell me where to send it, and I will give you your free copy of How to Unlock and Unleash Your Superpower. It's your guide to go from scarcity to abundance. It will help you get on your way to clearing up any kind of bad news cycle that you might be in right now, and it'll certainly help you on your way to finding your passion. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. As always, look out for that good news. Tell me what your good news is, and I will talk to you tomorrow.